My name is Alara Whitfield. And the night my grandfather asked a single question at Christmas dinner, my parents' perfect life collapsed in front of everyone. The dining room was glowing with golden lights, polished silverware, and laughter that always felt slightly too loud to be real. My parents loved appearances. Perfect house, perfect guests, perfect smiles. Everything had to look flawless. Except me. I parked my old car 2 houses away, like I always did, so no one would see the scratches on the door or the dent on the side. Walking into that house always made me feel smaller than I actually was. Inside, the air smelled like cinnamon and expensive perfume. Guests filled the room, praising my parents' decorations and pretending our family was the definition of success. Then the doorbell rang. Everything stopped. My father walked to the door with a forced smile, until it collapsed completely, because standing there was my grandfather, Victor Whitfield, the billionaire my parents always claimed was too busy to visit, the man who hadn't attended Christmas in nearly a decade. And yet there he was, snow on his coat, cane in hand, eyes searching the room until they landed on me. "Alara," he whispered softly. "My girl, you've grown." He hugged me, tightly, warmly, like someone who had missed too many years. And that was the moment my parents started to panic. Dinner began, but the tension felt like thunder waiting to strike. My parents laughed too loudly. Guests kept smiling. But Grandpa stayed quiet, watching everything like he already suspected something was wrong. Halfway through the meal, he placed his fork down. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Then he looked directly at me. "Alara, are you happy in the house I bought for you?" The question shattered the room. Every sound stopped. Even the candles seemed to flicker nervously. I stared at him, confused. "What house?" I whispered. Silence swallowed the room. My mother's hand trembled so badly that wine spilled across the tablecloth. My father coughed, eyes darting around like he was searching for an escape. Grandpa leaned forward slowly. "3 years ago," he said, "I wired your parents $460,000 to buy you a starter home." My heartbeat slammed into my ribs. Because I didn't have a house. I had a 1-bedroom apartment with peeling walls and a leaking ceiling. "Grandpa," I whispered, "I've never owned a home." And that was the moment everything broke. He turned toward my parents, slowly, painfully, like a man realizing he had trusted the wrong people. "Where is the money?" No one answered. Not immediately. My mother started crying. My father tried explaining. Words like investment, temporary, and complicated spilled from his mouth like broken glass. But Grandpa didn't listen. He stood up. And suddenly the room felt smaller. "Living room," he said firmly. "Now." No one argued. No one dared. We sat across from each other like enemies waiting for judgment. Grandpa pulled out his phone and read aloud messages my parents had sent him years ago. Messages claiming I loved my new house. Except, that house never existed. Instead, the money had gone somewhere else. Somewhere very real. Olaik Sherilok Front Villa. Purchased in their names. Renovated with imported marble. Filled with furniture worth more than everything I owned. While I worked double shifts just to afford groceries. That night didn't end with shouting. It ended with silence. The kind of silence that follows betrayal. The next morning, Grandpa came to see where I lived. When he stepped inside my apartment, he didn't speak for nearly a minute. He just looked, at the cracked ceiling, the bucket catching rainwater, the broken heater I kept patched with tape. And then his voice broke. "They let you live like this?" That question hurt more than anything else. Because the answer was yes. They had. That same day, we walked into his lawyer's office. My parents were already there, pale, exhausted, terrified. Documents covered the table. Bank transfers. Purchase records. Receipts. Proof. So much proof. Every lie they told was written in ink. Then came the moment that changed everything. The lawyer opened a sealed envelope. "Mr. Whitfield has amended his will," he said calmly. My father stood up. "You can't do this." But Grandpa didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "My estate," he said slowly, "valued at approximately $1.08 billion, will be inherited by Alara Whitfield." The room froze. My parents didn't shout this time. They didn't argue. because deep down, they knew they had lost. But the final twist came seconds later. The lakefront villa, the one they bought using my money, was ordered to be transferred into my name within 7 days, or criminal charges would follow. For the first time in my life, I saw fear in my parents' eyes. Not anger, not disappointment, fear. Weeks later, I stood on the balcony of that same lakefront villa, watching sunlight shimmer across the water, not celebrating, not seeking revenge, just breathing, because the greatest victory wasn't the house. It wasn't the money. It was finally understanding something I had never believed before. I was never the problem. And sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are the same ones who accidentally give you the strength to rebuild everything. 1 year later, I decorated that same house with quiet white lights and simple ornaments. Nothing flashy, nothing forced. Just peace. And as snow fell softly across the lake outside my window, I whispered into the silence, "Grandpa, I'm finally home."